Hello, and welcome to Mean Street News. Mean Street News is here to provide accurate news to help citizens affect change in their local government and beyond. Being nice is overrated. It is time to be real. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. The time to step up and step in is now. So please come join me, Katie, over on Mean Street News to discuss Ohio politics and beyond. I hope to see you there. Hello, and welcome to Mean Street News.
That we much of a crime and that people were so up in arms about it. Why are they now considering dismissing it? And I think that it puts the lie to the notion that this was really something that we wanted to make an example out of, and you can't engage in this type of conduct. What conduct? It was obviously politically motivated. And and it happens all over the country. It happens all over the country, on both sides of the aisle, though. I have a case right now that, and for me to be able to say this is probably, I had to think, is this the craziest fucking case I've had? And it has to be. It has to be. Because the DA that is sitting in judgment of whether or not these four men that I'm going to tell you about in a moment, right before the election, for him to become DA, gets indicted. He gets indicted for allegedly harassing a former employee and then trying to bribe her not to file a complaint against him, something like that, right before the election. And all of a sudden, he is now embroiled in this. He loses the election a couple of weeks ago, and he is now finds himself according to him, wrongfully accused of a crime he didn't commit. Well, my client is a guy by the name of John Edwards, and there were four guys. This is in Lorain, Ohio. Lorain County, Ohio. It's John Edwards, Lenworth Edwards, Benson Davis, and a guy named Al Cleveland. New York guys in the early 90s who were selling drugs in Ohio. They were going back and forth from Ohio to New York. And one morning, a man by the name of Epps is found dead in the street. His roommate is found about 7 hours later, a woman named Marsha Blakely, dumped in an alley behind a shopping center. The case is cold for a month. The police have hit dead ends. They have nowhere to go with the case. The prosecutor's office offers a $2,000 reward for anyone with information about the case. Wouldn't you know that the next day, a man by the name of William Avery Sr. walks in to the Lorain County prosecutor's office. They sit him down with the police, and he says, I have information about the case. Now, this guy, William Avery Sr., was a known informant. The police knew him. He had come and tried to give information about other cases, didn't pan out. He was also a drug addict. And they sit with him for over an hour, and they say to him, everything you're telling us has been in the papers, so you're not giving us anything new here. He shows up the next day with his son, William Avery Jr., and he says he witnessed the murder. So William Avery Jr. talks to the police. At the end of that interview, he goes, what about the reward money? And the officer says, let's turn the tape recorder off and let's talk about that. they tell him, we're not giving you the reward money because now you're telling us that information that's been in the papers. And all you're telling us is that you saw Marsha Blakely assaulted in an apartment. You're not telling us anything about the murder. The very next day, he shows up and says that Al Cleveland told him that he murdered Marsha Blakely. So let's put a bookmark in it because I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different today. At the end of the episode, I'm going to give you a Twitter account. I've submitted today a 40-page submission. All of the exhibits that are mentioned in that submission to the Lorain County prosecutor. His name is J.D. Tomlinson. So now I'm going to invite the public. Before you go writing a letter to him or calling him, you read the submission and look at the exhibits yourself. Because what often happens is that in these reinvestigations, prosecutors' offices have something called a conviction integrity unit, where they say they'll reinvestigate the case. And the very first thing they make you do is sign a no media agreement, that you won't go to the media, because the last thing they want you to do is what I just did. Is to talk about the case publicly. So we're not in a conviction integrity unit. We're trying to appeal to a prosecutor, J.D. Tomlinson, who from what I
Good evening, afternoon. Welcome to Mean Street News. If you're new here, and thank you for coming back if you've been here before. Today, I wanted to play that because Josh Dubin, and that clip is being used for educational purposes only, by the way, so I don't get hit on the copyright infringement. Josh Dubin really just summarizes it really well right there. And today, though, we're not going to really focus on Avery. I think we've talked enough about that. I want to talk about, well, for one, before I even talk about anything, Lenworth Edwards. He's the first person to go on trial in 1991. His first trial was a mistrial because of Avery Jr. In the Ohio 4 case. And if you're new here, the Ohio 4 case, you just got to go back. I can't do it today. I don't have that much time. Sorry, I'm a little late today. I got stuck on a phone call that was pretty important. But Lenworth Edwards on Thursday is going to be in front of our new Republican judge, Giovanna Bremke. I have met Giovanna a couple times. I don't know her that well, just to be honest with you, but she had a lovely family when I met her. She's very nice, she seemed very level-headed. She's younger. So I think that's going to give us, fresh eyes. Doesn't have the political history, really. Your family might, but I don't really think so. I think wholesome. I'm hoping she really looks at this with clear eyes. But there's a hearing on Thursday at Lorain County courts and I think it's like a little serendipitous. Like he was the first one. Lenworth Edwards was the first of the 4 that was charged for the murder of Marsha Blakely. And he'll be the first one to receive a hearing because who was it that denied? Al Cleveland got denied by who was his original judge? I can't think of it right now. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but I'm drawing a blank. But he got denied. But then JD, before he was done being prosecutor, sent a letter over asking for reconsideration with that. So I don't know where that's at yet. But Lenworth Edward on Thursday at 2:30 in courtroom 708 in front of the Republican Giovanna Bremke's bench. There's some kind of hearing. I will be there more than likely if I can make something work right now. But I'm going to try my best to be there that day. I like to, just watch and see what goes on. But I'm really excited. I think that's just good. And they're asking for On December 6th, they filed a joint motion for an emergency hearing. And then on December 12th, they filed a joint motion for a new trial. So what they're asking for is, to have a new trial and like dismiss the charges pretty much, and it would exonerate them. I was looking up just for my website. I had to get their mug shots, right? And I was looking at their parole, and it says like 8,888 years. And my question for them when I talk to them is, are you like on indefinite parole? Nobody lives 8,000 years. Is that like a thing in the system? I just thought it was weird. You know what I mean? But so Thursday, 2:30, courtroom 708. Now what's interesting is these motions were filed, right? Well, our attorney general for the state of Ohio decided, and I don't know why he did this, and why he's getting involved. I'm not going to lie. I have ideas on why he did this and why he's getting involved, but I don't think it's really appropriate. And I like the response from the judge, Chris Cook. He responded to Yost, and I thought it was funny, and I'll post that later. But Dave Yost filed a motion for an amicus curiae. When I looked that up, and it says, sorry, I'm reading from my notes. It's a brief, it's like when someone who has some kind of interest in the case wants to kind of like jump on the case, from what I understand, but I'm not an attorney. But he wanted to do that I have John Edwards written here, so maybe just for him. But no, I saw it in all their cases. Yeah, I saw it in all their cases. Yeah. So I don't know why Dave Yost is coming down, and no offense to Dave Yost, but if he is taken any time, like an hour, and just started reading, he would be down that rabbit hole in 2 seconds, because this case is unlike any other. And let's get into it. Today, we are not going to talk about Avery Jr., who we've talked about. Well, we're going to talk about him at the end, but in the beginning, we're not. And I'm going to play a clip where I left off last time talking about Marsha Blakely's boyfriend, William Muncie, because I had a weird dream, but then I also went and looked at the police report again and started, I put something together, because it was really bothering me that Muncie Jr., if you hear my son yelling, that he's just arguing with his dad, and he's special needs, so just ignore it. But when William Muncie testified, in I believe it was 1998, in John Edwards' trial, he kept saying that he was off on the time. And that's what I had my dream about, like the time, you know what I mean? Like the off on the time. And why would he change his time? Because I know what I read, and it was 2 a.m. And I know what that Connie Ward, the day of the murder, confirmed it was 2 a.m. And I'm like, I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to go look. So this is what I'm going to share with you today. Now, some of the stuff I share with you today is my theory, but I'm going to play my theory right now for you in a couple clips. And then I'm going to expound on that and show you the police report itself and why I think this and where I'm pointing to and what kind of makes more sense here than 4 guys from New York that are selling crack. And it was an epidemic back then. I'm not condoning, selling crack, but it's a whatever, you know what I mean? They didn't kill somebody. And then serve 30 years in prison. Like, it's fucking, they were drug dealers. And I think they were on somebody's territory. And I think this person wanted to get rid of them. This is my theory just based off evidence. And it was easy to pin 2 birds, 1 stone. You know what I mean? Your brother-in-law or you murder your girlfriend in a fit of rage. You were mad that she was a drug addict. You were mad. My personal opinion. Don't sue me. You were mad at your girlfriend for being a crackhead. He even says that to the detectives. And, this guy Epps is letting her stay there. You're raising your son. Her throat was slashed. That's real personal, very personal murder. I And you have these guys that you guys are all pissed off about because they're coming in from New York and they're basically taking over your, 1 square mile territory of selling crack back in the 90s, 80s. It would be 80s because 91, 80s. It was an epidemic. It was just like the heroin and fentanyl now. I mean, just pick your different poison, same drug, same outcome. And you pin it on it. Now, the problem with that is, and my mom's always said this to me, like the problem with lying and the problem with lying is their story always changes, because it's like if you lie in one little thing, you probably lie, all the way down the road. Eventually, you can't remember. It's so much. As much as Avery Jr. lied and put these guys in prison, I'm not condoning that. I was reading his, and you're gonna see it later. I was reading his statement from 2006. Al Cleveland's dad, before I play this clip and get into my actual evidence, Al Cleveland's dad hired a private investigator who tracked down Avery Jr. In 2006, and they got a statement from a sworn, what do they call it? Affidavit. I think it's affidavit or something, where they interviewed him, and we're going to go over that later, but his childhood was not, this shit's just crazy. So, and I'm not saying it's okay that he lied, but I think the kid was under influence. I think his father was putting enormous pressure on him, and we all know parents, and what he did was wrong. But I've known enough drug addicts as well that have recovered, some not, some dead, some gone, a lot gone. 15 of my friends are dead from overdoses. Not friends, but some acquaintances, but some really close friends. When they're an addict, they're not them. It's like they turn into a monster. You know what I mean? So I just be empathetic. That's all I'm saying. So I'm gonna play a couple clips where I left off. It'll go over my theory real quick, so I don't have to just talk at you right now, and then I'm gonna expound upon it. And then I'm gonna leave it there. But I had to do this because Thursday, 2:30, courtroom 708, Lorraine County Courts, in front of Giovanna Bremke. Lenworth Edwards, the first of the four, is going to be in front of a judge. So, I think that's great. I'm really, really excited. So, let me play this for you, and then I'll talk back at you. I'll be back in a sec. Oh, I don't have to share my screen. I forgot I uploaded on. Easier. Let's see. Willie. Question or contact her boyfriend, Willie Muncie. Now, Marsha was stabbed multiple times. Her throat was slit. We know that, right? She was beat up, but that could have been from previous stuff that went on the night before. So she's beat up. Then her murder, she was stabbed. Now, stabbing, when you always watch like true crime stuff like that, that's like a really personal murder. Like, you have some personal like issues with this person, right? So I go to the Willie, and I don't have it in front of me because I don't want to dig through all those things. So Willie Muncie. William Muncie says that around 2 in the morning, his original testimony, around 2 in the morning, he sees Marsha Blakely walking by his mom's house in the projects towards Epps' apartment, where she was staying at, right? And he stopped her. Well, how did he stop her? He only took her purse. He said he grabbed her purse because he didn't want her to continue to go without him. So he grabbed her purse, and she stopped and waited for him. Well, according to William Muncie's story, his bike broke, his bike chain broke on the way, this 1.5 mile walk. His bike chain broke, and he had to fix it. Well, apparently while he was fixing it, he ran into an individual named Walker, that Walker I was telling you about, right? And that Marsha went on she went on towards her apartment by herself. Well, Marsha never made it to her apartment, apparently. Between that short walk from her boyfriend's house to Epps' house, which is, I mean, if you've ever been by the projects, it's not a far distance, a couple miles, right? And he, though, runs into this guy, Leonard. I don't want to show you this one. Leonard. She never made it to her apartment, apparently. Between that short walk from her. She never made it to her apartment, apparently. Between that short walk from her boyfriend's house to Epps' house, which is, I mean, if you've ever been by the projects, it's not a far. It wouldn't let me click it. Sorry. It just kept replaying twice. It's so weird. So I know when I'm talking about distances, it's hard for people to like imagine, like when I say it's a short distance. So I'm going to cut myself off real quick and I want to show you what I mean by how short of a distance this is. And I have a picture for you. All right. The first thing I'm going to show you is where Epps' body was found. Now, this is Route 58 and this is 21st Street, okay? Marsha Blakely walked down. Oh, you can't see me pointing. I fucking think about this. All right, where the EP is where Epps' body is found, okay? Where the M is where Marsha Blakely's body is found. And then I'm going to take you to the auditor's site and show you. And then I'm going to show you a video where I drove and show you. And I kind of messed up Epps', but it was late and I forgot. All right. When you look at this one, do you see where the W is? That's William Muncie. That's where he saw Marsha Blakely and took her purse like I was just discussing, okay? And then I don't know what anything was like on a map. I can barely. So what I did is I was in Lorraine the other night. I was in my they're like family, but friend. Their dad died, and we lived next door to their family for 13 years. So I had to go visit one of my very best friends, Jonte. I had to go see her. So I was like, I'm gonna just drive around and show people, because I hate when people are like, he was on this street and then he went left, and it's like, I don't know what the fuck that is. So hold on 2 seconds and I'll be back. Hey everybody, this is Katie. I'm in Lorraine tonight, and I just had the thought I'm going to show you guys, give you guys a realistic version of Marsha Blakely's movements and where Floyd Epps was found the night that they were murdered, just to give you guys kind of like a picture of what a short distance everything was, okay? So Floyd Epps' body, we're on 21st Street in Lorraine right now, okay? Floyd Epps' body was found. We're coming up to the street. We're about to be at the projects, okay? What they call the projects out here. Down this street. So this street coming up is where Floyd Epps' body was found. Is it that one? I believe it was that one. It was back there. Is this one or the next one? But maybe it was the next one. I think it was the next one. I can't see, it's dark tonight, but this general area, okay? And then this light that I'm coming up to is going to be where we're going to go to West 23rd, where Marsha was walking, right? The night of August 7th and 8th. Here's the gas station. Alright. So she was walking, I believe it was 23rd towards sunset. So there's 22nd. And if you look over here, there's the apartments we're coming to. And they were walking towards the apartments, right? So she was going down West 23rd. So here's West 23rd. And you can see 58 through 58 right there through the, so it's not that long, probably 3rd Street, okay? So she's walking down Reeves. This is where Muncie, I believe, saw her. I might be getting it confused, but 23rd, because she was heading to Sunset. So we're on 23rd right now. Start here, okay? And right up there is a little up there, about not even half a mile is where Floyd Epps was found. Go to that lake, go to right? And then she's walking this way, Sunset, towards the apartment. Here's Sunset to one of these apartments. I don't have the address with me, so I can't tell you which one, right? But now we're gonna head towards where her body was found. I'm gonna show you how close it is. I mean, this is literally the project. There's another half of it, but this is where they were the night of her murder, okay? And we're gonna come back out this way too. These are all project apartments. They were redone, some of them, some paint on some of them. It looks nice. The roads fucking suck in the rain. All right, and then I'm gonna show you where her body was discovered. So she, you know, that was her path of walking that night, right? Supposedly, right? I think she ran. And I think when she ran down here. I'm going to show you in a minute. I got cars coming. So this is where the apartment and stuff was. And we're going to head to where her body was found. I'm going to show you, you know, you could walk this entire project. Probably not every street, but from start to finish, walking in 10 minutes or less. I mean, it's really not a long walk. So let's go this way. All right, we're on 58, Route 58. Now this is all the projects. So that's Sunset, where the apartment was. I already showed you her little path, even though I got to turn around. I'm going to show you where her body was discovered. Not the same spot, but you know. This is all the projects. Now this is the other half I was talking about, the north half, because it's split between, what we're at right now is West 21st Street. But it's split between the two. So, like I said, not a long distance. We're gonna wait longer at the red light than it would take me to walk. And that shopping plaza that you see right there, that's where she was found behind. So, like I said, she could have ran from Sunset to where she was her demise, running from somebody. She couldn't, if somebody didn't drive her. So I don't really believe that theory. But this is the Gateway Plaza. They've actually remodeled it. It looked a lot crazier than this. I'll just show you a photo. But she was found behind it, so back here. And this is the end of the project. So she was found back there. Back there. But like I said, like I did this because I wanted to show you. It's hard when somebody's saying, oh, she's on West 21st or Sunset or Reeves or West, and you don't have any context of, you know, what that distance is. So like I said, I wanted to show you that, but within 8 minutes I literally drove that way, got lost a little bit, got turned around, and like I said, I was just out in the rain tonight and the thought came to me to show you the reality of, like, you know, somebody could have easily walked, ran to meet her demise. You don't even mean a car doesn't technically need to be involved, and even if it was, it'd be like a 2-minute drive. So it was, the project is not a big area, and And Lorraine's probably 1 square mile. All right. You guys have a good night. So there's some context. It's a very, very short distance, and unless I'm going to share with you, we're going to look at the auditor's website because I'm going to take you through the map because I messed up Floyd Epps's body that night because I didn't have anything in front of me. I was just random. So I want to show you this. I want to make sure I share my sound. Hold on, because I always do this. I don't share my sound, and then none of you can hear me. So I'm going to do that again. Share my screen, window. No, I'm just sharing my entire screen. No, I didn't share my audio. See, I would have been muted. I hate when I do that. It drives me crazy because editing is so annoying. Here, kind of on our website. I'll get back. Map. Shh. If any of you guys had kids about like toddlers, like how old's my daughter? 16, so maybe like 10 years ago. I'm the map. Every time I say the word map, I get Dora in my head because I was harassed with Dora the Explorer. All right. So 1626 Wallace, he was found, Floyd Epps was found in front of, and I'm putting that in the auditor's website. I'm going to show you how close that was to Marsha. Okay. Move this up. All right. Here is where this little triangle is where Floyd Epps's body was found at 1:30 a.m. on August 8th of 1991. Marsha was found at 9:30 in the morning, I believe, 1991, same day. Both had, and I've gone over that, but both with the throat, everything like that, okay? So then we get to this William Muncie. And before I can get him, I gotta explain Avery a little bit. Avery said that, get out of here, remove. Okay. Avery said that Avery Williams, the state's only witness, said that he witnessed the Ohio 4 beating up Marsha Blakely for whatever drug debt at 11 in the morning. He said that during his first interview. He said it in his second interview. Not 11 in the morning, 11 at night, okay? And when I was reading the police report and in my dream, I kept having a thing with a stupid clock. It was so annoying. I probably sound like a bitch, but it was repetitive. I had it for like 3 days and I was finally like, what am I missing? 2 a.m. has been sticking with me, and I have a thing with twos, and not to be a weirdo, but John Edwards, and you look at his it was some kind of number of his prison number or something. It was 222, and it's a thing for me. I have a thing with twos. But at 2 a.m. on August 8th, Muncie Williams, the boyfriend, crazy boyfriend, says that he saw Marsha walking down the street, runs into Leonard Edwards, and then I'm gonna stop talking at your face for a second. We're gonna play this. Boyfriend's house to Epps' house, which is, I mean, if you've ever been by the projects, it's not a far distance, couple miles, right? And he though runs into this guy, Leonard. I don't want to show you this one. Leonard Walker. And this is where shit just gets weird. Now, when Marsha Blakely's body is found, she has one shoe. Can you guess where the other shoe is found? And I'm not a, trained detective, but the other shoe is found at her house. Okay. So, Leonard Walker, Directing your attention to August 7th, August 8th. Did you have an occasion to go over to his house that night? Which is talking about Epps. Yes, I did. What time did you arrive there? Between 12 and 1. Was anybody there when you got there? No. What did you do when you got there? Me and a friend, Mr. Muncie, knocked on the door. Who is Muncie? William Muncie Jr. is related to Marsha Blakely. It's her boyfriend. Did she have any children by him? I think one. Was he there when you arrived? No, he was on a bike. So I think it was later than 12, 1 o'clock. I think it was 2, 3 o'clock, right? 2, 3 a.m. that he arrived. Only people's time frames here are perfectly right, but it kind of makes sense. Because Muncie said it was 2 a.m. He was very specific. He said 2 a.m. He said no, he was on a bike and he asked if I had seen Marsha. Well, why would he ask if you've seen Marsha if he was just with Marsha? What did you tell him? I said I haven't seen her, but I was going that way, so we went together. So he was just walking with Marsha, according to his testimony. So why did you think you would find Marsha? I wasn't looking for her. I was just going that way. I told him I would go with them. Tell us what happened. We went over to his house. We knocked on the door. It opened. We went in. We looked around the house and see nobody was there. We went in and saw nobody there. And we went and sat outside because we figured if any of Epps' people came while we were there, they would wonder why we were there. You went outside and sat on the couch. That was outside. Where is that at? From here to the corner where the deputy is? Yeah. What did you do on that couch? We just sat there and drank and talked. Who is we? Me and Mr. Muncie. Just skip one. How long did you stay? Until almost daybreak. You drank until sunrise. That's when we figured we would leave because nobody came to the apartment. So if you're looking for your girlfriend said you were walking with her. Your girlfriend said she was on her way to an apartment, and you weren't that far behind because your chain broke. You run into this guy who said that she wasn't there, that when he was on his way past, but he'll go with you back. Yeah, no, none of this is making sense. I take it you had been in the apartment before. Yes, I was there the night before with them drinking. Did Willie have a problem with his table leg as far as I know? Well, the table was knocked over. So he's like being alcoholic. His shit came loose. Shit was on the side. Now. Okay. His shoe. Okay. So I think it was the same two officers to Taliana. I'm not sure if it was Resendez. Taliana was there. Resendez was in and out of this case. His shoes were there by the bed, and one of her shoes was by the door. So Marsha Blakely had one shoe on the murder scene, and the other one was missing. Well, the other missing shoe was at the house. And it looked like he had been drinking. Yeah, no, none of this is making sense. I take it you had been in the apartment before. Yes, I was there the night before with them drinking. Did Willie have a problem with his table leg as far as I know? Well, the table was knocked over. So he's like being alcoholic. His shit came loose. Shit was on the side. Now. Okay, his shoe. Okay, so I think it was the same two officers to Taliana. I'm not sure if it was Resendez. Taliana was there. Resendez was in and out of this case. His shoes were there by the bed, and one of her shoes was by the door. So Marsha Blakely had one shoe on the murder scene, and the other one was missing. Well, the other missing shoe was at the house. And it looked like he had been drinking and walked out, went to the store or something. We were not expecting any foul play. So, according to Avery Jr., there's a huge fight, and she got her ass beat in that apartment by 4 grown men. But these guys are saying there was no foul play. There's another question, Mr. Prosecutor. It didn't look like a fight had occurred there. No, not at all. Did you see any blood? No. Did you clean up any blood? No. Did you clean the apartment at all? No. Were you there between the hours of midnight or 1 o'clock until sunrise? Yes. Did you tell the police yet? Yes, I did. Tell us about Floyd Epps' apartment. What people do there. They would drink. It was just a gathering place. He said he did stop there sometimes. He worked at the Ford plant, so he wasn't always around. Rosenbaum. Were you drunk that night? Oh, I had been drinking, but I wasn't drunk. So, can you tell this jury whether or not a fight occurred in that apartment? No, I can't. You weren't looking for any signs of a fight when you were there? No. You say one of Marsha's shoes was by the door. The television set was on. The table leg was slanted. And you left around sunrise. Yep, sunrise would be About what time on August 8th in the morning? 6:30, maybe a little earlier. No, it was daylight. It was daylight when you left. So you left around 6 a.m. and you have no idea what happened in the apartment until the police arrived at noon. All right. Television set was on. The table leg was slanted. And you left around sunrise. Yep. Sunrise would be about what time on August 8th in the morning? 6:30, maybe a little earlier. No, it was daylight. It was daylight when you left. So you left around 6 a.m. and you have no idea what happened in the apartment until the police arrived at noon. All right. And he says no, basically. And he said he was there with Muncie, the boyfriend. Okay? Now, this is what I found really interesting. Is the following additional information should be noted regarding the retention of evidence in this investigation as noted within the interview of Willie Muncie, which is Muncie, Muncie, on Thursday, August 8th, 1991, while Blakely attempted to walk west on West 23rd, he grabbed and retained her purse. That's that 2 a.m. I was telling you about. Muncie explained that he later transported the purse to the apartment of Floyd Epps while attempting to locate Blakely at that location. Well, if she's walking on West 23rd towards the apartment, it's not that far, and you have to fix your bike chain. Leonard Walker was already there. He didn't see Blakely, but you were fixing your bike chain. You run into him, and then you go back and drink with him the rest of the night. Her shoes there. You have her purse. Muncie advised television set was on. The table leg was slanted. I want to say, like, there's your sign. I mean, because think about it. I showed you guys. They would have crossed path. I mean, it's literally like an L shape. It's 23rd to Sunny. Yeah, am I right? What was the address? Anyways, it's an L. It's So you're telling me Marsha left you because your bike chain broke. Leonard's coming from Epps's apartment, same area, right? He would have had to pass Marsha if Marsha was really with what's her face. Well, then that got me to, my dream. And we have to go to, I'm gonna share my screen real quick with you guys. Give me 5 seconds. The police report. William Muncie. We have been fed this narrative, not fed, but there's this narrative. Avery Jr. was the one that brought up the Ohio 4, right? Well, no. After I went back to the police report, I figured out, here it is. Okay, here's the police report. I figured out, we're going to start on page 11. That the first person, and we're not there yet. We're gonna start with Gonzalez that we talked about last time, just real quick, because she's the one that said you need to talk to the boyfriend. She's the one that saw Marsha before she was a couple hours before she was killed. She said between 11 and 11:30. Okay, she saw Marsha pull up to her house, try to sell her something, said that she owed money, was in her feels some, you know what I mean. She looked beat up. She had her, cut on her head, cut on her, whatever. And she was with a African-American male because Mary Jane Gonzalez said, I saw her with an African-American male. And then she mentioned the detective, she didn't know who he was, but then you should go talk to the boyfriend. And Mary Jane Gonzalez was friends with Marsha. Well, then they do go to the boyfriend's house. And this is where I'm going to show you. I'm not going to get there yet. This is where they located her. You guys don't need to see that. That was at 125. All right, so where am I going? Page 16. I just got to look at my notes real quick. Hold on. Page 16. Is that where I'm going? Yeah. Gonzalez. Here we go. And I know it's like you're not seeing me on the screen, you're seeing this document, you're seeing both of us, but I like to show you the evidence because I'm not here to tell you who did it. That's not my job. I'm here to show you what their statement is from the day that it happened, and then you get to make your decision on what you believe. You want to tell me you still think these four did it at the end of it? Go right ahead. Will I tell you I think you haven't looked at half the shit I've looked at, and I think a lot of really great attorneys would disagree with you? Yeah. Okay, so this is important too. Gonzalez provided following information. She said, she came in, whatever. The operator of the car was a black male, short hair, wearing a nondescript baseball hat. The subject was described as having dark skin. Gonzalez has stated that she never observed the vehicle or the driver, but felt she could recognize both if located. The vehicle exited the apartment complex towards Reeves Avenue. So, Sunnyside, where I showed you that little, horizontal, they just went where I was, where I turned on Sunnyside. That's Reeves Avenue is towards, sorry, not Sunnyside. Where I turned on West 23rd, I was on Reeves Avenue. So it's a 2-minute walk. It should be noted that this officer re-interviewed Gonzalez 2 days later on 8/10/91. Now, this is what's important. And she offered the following information. Gonzalez stated that the suspect vehicle had been observed circling her apartments on 8/9/91. She indicated that she was concerned that the murderers had observed her looking out her window the previous day. Because I think she recognized them, but she didn't want to say who they were. That's just my theory. It's not true. It's my theory. I just have this feeling. She stated that she was too frightened to obtain the registration, but would attempt to do so if the vehicle was observed in the area. As of 8/19/91, this officer has not been contacted by Gonzalez. But I'm like, who was also interviewed on 8/8 and 8/9/91? Because the suspect vehicle observed circling the apartments on 8/9/91. William Muncie. He was called back in on 8/9/91, and he was told about Gonzalez's statement that she saw the same car circling, coming. I mean, 8/8, he was told about Gonzalez and what she saw with the car, right? 8/9, he went circling around her apartment, and then she saw it and got a hold of the detective. The detective then went and re-interviewed her on 8/10. Marsha Blakely body was found 8/8. Remember, so this is all from the day it happened, not 4 years later in a testimony in court. People forget stuff. I mean, memory is not 4 years. As traumatic as this is, you're not going to get every date, that wrong. I mean, right. You're going to have some or time. You're just not going to remember. So during the initial interview of Gonzalez, officers advised that Marsha's boyfriend, a Willie Muncie, and it's Muncie, Muncie, might be able to provide pertinent information regarding this investigation. So what did they do? They decided to then, and it's right here in the report, go over to William Muncie's house. Well, when they show up at William Muncie's house, what's so interesting, to me at least, what's so interesting is that there's a fight going on. A bunch of people are arguing. And it's just kind of chaotic. And then William Muncie runs. So this officer located address to Muncie. It was 1609 West 23rd. So Marsha was on West 23rd the night heading towards when she ran into him, right? That makes sense. This officer proceeds to that location and the following occurred. This officer approached the noted residence. This writer noted that the apparent disturbance at the location. This writer approached the front north door and the following transpired. They observed a group of people inside the duplex at an apparent struggle. The officer entered the structure and observed several persons attempting to restrain a black male subject. This officer attempted to assist the group, but the subject fled. So the police show up to question you about your baby mother's death. There's some kind of chaos going on when they show up, and then you run? Why would you flee? It's the mother of your child. Why would you flee? The subject fled out of the residence via the rear south door. The officer radioed for assistance and provided the responding officers with a description of the subject and direction of travel. A short time later, Detective Sergeant Roner, Officer Undersky, and Officer Garcia located and detained the subject at 1606 West 24th. Well, that address, at least when I taped it in the auditor's office, doesn't exist. I think they mean West 23rd, but who knows? This officer arrived and noted that the subject detained was the same person observed struggling and fleeing from the 1609 West 23rd residence, and he was identified as Willie Muncie. I don't know why they have his name wrong. The subject was placed in Officer Ujinsky's marked unit and transported to the station as a material witness for the homicide investigation. For further information, see page 4. Okay. It was later that day, right? Short time later, yeah. So this is the day of her murder. This happened the day of her murder. The day she was murdered, he's fighting with his family. Police show up at his house the day she's murdered, and you run. The officer conferred with Detective Captain Rivera at the Blakely crime scene. Captain Rivera was advising regarding the interview with Gonzalez and the detainment of Muncie as material witness. This officer was directed to the parking lot of the Westgate Plaza, was introduced to Marsha Blakely's twin brother. All right, we don't need that. And the next page I'm going to is 25. Okay, no, not yet. Okay, so they interviewed Muncie. This officer arrived on station and interviewed Willie Muncie. In spite of the fact that Muncie was not considered a suspect at this point in the investigation, he was advised of his constitutional rights. He signed the waiver, whatever. I don't care about that. Muncie advised that he came into contact with Marsha Blakely at approximately 200 hours. That's 2 o'clock in the morning on August 8th. That's why I was like, when I was reading his testimony, I'm like, no, that was his time. That's why I said this time is off. And 2 other people confirmed this 2 o'clock on the day of her murder. On the day of her murder, Connie Ward, which is William Muncie's stepfather, confirmed the 2 a.m. And then on August 15th, a week later, Gwen Muncie, William's sister, confirms the 2 a.m. Okay? And we're going to read that. 0200 hours on Thursday, August 8th, 1901, Muncie indicated that he was at his mother's residence located at 1609 West 23rd Street. He observed Marsha Blakely was walking and was not accompanied by anyone during this period of time. She reportedly arrived at the location to speak with Muncie. So your baby mom came to talk to you. She had been previously upset with Muncie, and she was upset with you. Excuse me. And walked to discuss the matter. The witness did not observe any injuries. Well, that's funny because you saw her at 2 a.m. I'm going to stop here and there on this thing. You saw her at 2 a.m., but Mary Jane Gonzalez, who saw her at 11 and between 11 and 11:30, witnessed her looking a hot mess, face bruised up, not looking good. So there's your first. Well, not your first, but there's a lie. And did not indicate she had been assaulted. Blakely indicated that she was going to be walked to Floyd Epps' residence on Sunset Boulevard. As she attempted to leave, which is that street I drove down, just real short, as she attempted to leave the Muncie property, Willie Muncie grabbed her purse from her hands, which I'd be fighting somebody. The witness indicated that he entered his mother's residence to obtain a pair of shoes and a hat. When he exited the residence, he observed Blakely walking on West 23rd Street. The witness stated that he utilized a bicycle and rode same towards the Floyd residence. Reportedly, he experienced difficulty with the bicycle chain, which I told you, which fell off. The real specific there, gear spy sprocket sprocket, I don't even know what that is, on more than one occasion. During the period of time Muncie repaired the bicycle, Blakely continued to walk towards the Floyd residence out of Muncie's view. Well, I'm not walking away from my purse. Especially, and I'm, like I said earlier, previously, I'm a smoker. I'm not walking away from my cigarettes, especially when you're like, she's a crackhead. She's gonna want her cigarettes. Muncie further indicated that as he approached Reeves Avenue at West 23rd Street, that's why I showed you guys this, he observed a white, that's bullshit. Anyways, he believed that he observed Blakely in the rear seat of the vehicle. Muncie indicated that he observed two subjects in the front seat. The vehicle traveled east on West 23rd Street and then south onto Blank Avenue. The witness stated that he proceeded to Floyd's residence. So you see at 2 a.m, two people driving your baby mom off. You're just going to be like, oh, okay. And go back to Floyd Epps' apartment, which you're not welcome. Like, he's clearly not welcome at, because the night before he had to, in some other testimony, he had to peek his head in to see if Marsha was there, and she wasn't. He left. So apparently, I don't think those two were on good terms, or why wouldn't he go into the apartment like everybody else and their mother, you know? And everybody that I've talked to out in Lorraine says that Floyd Epps was just, and not in a derogatory way, but he was the town drunk. But that's all he did, is he drank. You know what I mean? Everybody knew him for that, and they still do. When they remember, they said he was just the town drinker. Okay, so if you saw her get into the car too, just real quick, if you saw her get into the car as well, why would you tell Leonard Walker that you're looking for your girlfriend? Apparently, you saw her get in a car, and see the problem with lying. Muncie discovered that where apartment he returned to his mother. Wait, hold on. Proceeded to Epps' residence and discovered that neither Blakely or Epps were at the apartment. Well, yeah, he just saw her drive off, remember? He returned to his mother's residence and later returned to Epps' apartment. Muncie discovered a Leonard Walker, we just discussed that, further identified on page 5 of this report, was sleeping inside of Epps' residence. Well, I thought they were walking together, and now he found him sleeping. Gosh. However, moments later, Muncie stated that Walker was outside the apartment and they spoke for a period of time. Muncie stated that he left and returned to the Epps residence during the early morning hours of Thursday, August 8th, 1991. Well, why? You were already there partying all night. Why would you go back? And she was found at 9:30 in the morning. Epps was already dead. That's probably why he was so comfortable being there. He indicated that Epps and Blakely were not at the apartment during these periods of time. Muncie stated that, his name's not Muncie. Muncie stated that while at the Epps residence, he was joined by his sister's boyfriend. Now, this I did not know, because I don't remember seeing, and there might be, I looked at the documents that are uploaded, a Herbert Wallace being mentioned, but I might be wrong. Because when they gave the testimony in John Edwards' trial in 1998, they did not mention, to my remembrance, her boyfriend partying with them all night. So Muncie stated that while he was joined by his sister's boyfriend, Herbert Wallace. Wallace is further identified on page 5. His sister, Gwendolyn Muncie, is identified on page 4 of this bureau report. The witness indicated that he and Wallace spent the morning at the Epps apartment discussing Wallace's personal problems. Muncie indicated that they remained at the Epps residence until approximately 8 o'clock in the morning. So Herbert's saying, we partied there until 8 a.m. I'm glad that they don't ask him what time, you know what I mean? And now August 8th is the day that she was found 9:30 in the morning, August 8th. So this is the day of her murder that they questioned them. Reportedly, Leonard Walker was also at the Epps apartment. Therefore, Muncie was to have returned home and Wallace left the area. This officer questioned Muncie, referenced his relationship with Blakely and her lifestyle. This officer advised that he and Blakely were romantically involved for several years. Muncie stated that he cared for her and attempted to persuade her to discontinue in her street life activities. However, Muncie was either reluctant or unable to provide the identifications of persons Blakely may have been indebted to as a result of her crack addiction. I hate when it does this. A person's crack addiction in this initial interview. So he couldn't, in his initial interview, say who she was getting her crack from, which isn't uncommon, but then later you'll see why. In subsequent interviews, Muncie did provide information referenced in Blakely's street drug contacts. There you go. So you don't know, and then you know. For further information, refer to those interviews chronicled in this report. This officer continued the interview with William Muncie on 8/8, which is the day of her murder, and obtained the following information. Muncie has provided a synopsis of information provided by Mary Jane Gonzalez. Now, that's why I brought up Mary Jane just a little bit ago. So, on 8/8, Mary Jane Gonzalez was interviewed, okay? So then, this officer, who wrote this report, brought up to William Muncie, hey, Mary Jane Gonzalez said that she saw Marsha get into this, car with this guy. And then just, sheer coincidence. Oh, and this car, this is what my dream was about too. I have to say this. This car, not that my dreams had anything to do with it, but it will bother me later. Mary Jane said the car's exhaust was messed up the night of her murder, Marsha's murder, and Floyd's murder, but wasn't messed up the next day, 8/9. So between 8/8 and 8/9, whoever's car this was got their muffler fixed, because she said she saw the car the night. She was positive it was the same car. Saw it the night before. It was not. And not only, on 8/9 was the car just just driving by, because like I said, that's the projects. It could just be somebody living there. You know what I mean? No. They were circling her apartment. And that's a very small, you're not going to be able to go down not even a quarter square, 700-foot, street over and over again for nothing. So, Muncie was provided a synopsis of information provided by Mary Jane Gonzalez, as noted within this Bureau report. Muncie was able to offer and factual information reference the vehicle or physical signs of an earlier assault. So he said, I don't know what car or anything. I bet you didn't. Muncie did offer a possible scenario involving a Puerto Rican, New York drug trafficker. So here we go. Number one, it's the Puerto Rican drug trafficker. Okay. And these guys weren't happy about Al Cleveland, Leavenworth Edwards, and John Edwards being in Lorain. It kind of seems like they were stepping on their toes, and two birds, one stone situation here. Got rid of them and covered something up at the same time, but that's just my theory. However, there's insufficient information to interview. Okay. However, there's insufficient information as of the interview to link the deaths of the victims to the unidentified drug trafficker. There was a further discussion regarding a Detroit drug connection. So now number two, Detroit. So I'm just writing this down as we're doing it because I didn't earlier. Detroit drug connection. Okay. And then Muncie suggested that Blakely may have owed these drug traffickers money. Isn't this starting to sound like Avery Jr.'s story? Reference a transaction. There was no pertinent information provided. References same as of the date of the interview. So he's like, oh, it's this guy, but we're not going to give you a name. We're not going to give you, anything, but it could be. That sounds like deflection. And if you don't know what the definition of deflection is, when somebody's accusing you of something, you accuse them of something just to get the kind of heat off you. You're deflecting. You're like, oh no, is this, or you're telling them, openly, I think it was this person, when you know all damn well it was you. And that's just my opinion. Muncie, upon further interview, suggested that the time frame he placed on his contact with Blakely reported to be 2 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. It may be incorrect. So now he's trying to think like, oh shit, I told them I saw her at 2 a.m. And why is this important, Katie? Because her time of death was between, I believe, 12:30 in the morning. It was between, I want to say 12 now. It was between 12 and 4 a.m. So it seems Mr. Muncie and a couple others were the last person to see her, the last people to see her right before she died. And according to Avery Jr., she should have already been dead at this point because it was 11 p.m. and she was getting beat by 4 men, 4 grown. I mean, and they're not little men. Like, they're grown. Like, I've stood next to Cleveland and Lenworth. They're not like little guys. They're both at least 6 foot. And 4 grown men beating a woman for 20 minutes straight. There's no blood in the apartment. No physical evidence has ever been tied to any of them. But there's no blood in the apartment. Anyways. But Muncie had, he had somebody that knew him, right? He said, my time for 2 to 2:30, it might not be correct. You should go talk to my stepfather, Connie Ward, because he was awake. And Blakely approached the West 23rd Street residence on the morning hours of Thursday, August 8th. Ward is further identified on page 4 of this report. So he's like, hey, my stepdad saw me. It's fucking reliable. So then, this writer contacted the above noted Connie Ward on the day of her murder, August 8th. Ward advised that between 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. on Thursday, August 8th, he observed the following. Ward indicated that he observed Blakely walking on the south side of West 23rd Street in the 1600 block. Reportedly, she appeared to be in good spirits, and she did not observe anything that caused him to believe that she was having any type of difficulty. Well, that's funny, because her friend, Mary Jean Gonzalez, saw her at between 11 and 11:30 and said she looked like hell, and she was beat, and she had a bummed eye, a messed up eye. She had not looked good at all. But then just, a few hours later, she miraculously healed. She didn't have and it's Muncie Williams' stepdad. Ward stated that he was outside a brief period of time to walk the garbage to the curb. I always love taking my garbage out at 2 a.m. It's just like the best time to take out garbage. He was uncertain whether he observed Muncie in the company of Blakely. Well, he could, unsure. That's not a no. A no answer, and I tell you this all the time. Whether you decide to answer me or not, depending on how I'm asking you the question, unsure, not aware, is not a yes or a no, and a no answer is an answer, which means I kind of just believe he's full of shit, and even if he did see his stepson, he saw her with Blakely. If he didn't see his stepson with Blakely, he's covering for him, because then we have another witness, right? And Connie Ward did give testimony during the trials. On Friday, August 9th, 91, the officer re-interviewed William Muncie. So now, the next day, the day after her murder, they're like, we're going to go talk to Muncie again, who provided additional information. Inclusive of this information was the names of several persons Blakely routinely purchased crack from. So they gave him a day to think of, people to name and blame for selling her crack cocaine from the Lorraine Drive Reeves strip area in the city. On Friday, August 9th, this writer interviewed Herbert Wallace. So he interviewed Herbert Wallace again. I didn't have that one down. Yeah, Herbert Wallace. Regarding the investigation of the Epps Blakely murders. You see that murders, it's plural, that means two. So they were putting Epps and Blakely together originally. Epps and Blakely were together, but Floyd Epps's is an open case right now again. Pursued by Wallace. Well, I don't know what this is. So Wallace indicated that he spent the early morning hours of Thursday, August 8th, which is right around the time she was murdered, at Epps's residence with Willie Muncie. Wallace stated that he and Muncie remained at the residence at the immediate area throughout the morning hours. So from the time they started at 2 a.m. to the early morning hours, they were at Epps's apartment. Epps was found at 1:30 in the morning on the side of the road after he was dragged by a car, and then they slit his throat as well, and he was a mess. During that period of time, they attempted to locate Blakely and his girlfriend, Gwen Muncie, with negative results. So for five hours, you searched this 1 square mile area and just couldn't find them. Couldn't find her. Gwen Muncie with negative results. Wallace recounted the information offered by Muncie pertaining to this time period. Further, he detailed the lifestyle of Blakely and her involvement with narcotics. For a complete account of the interview, go here. Now, I found it really interesting, like how short his interview was, and I just want you to take note of that. Now, this is where, before Avery, because Avery Jr. doesn't come to the forefront until September. That's when his dad goes to the police. I'm going to show you that here shortly, but September, right? She's killed the beginning of August. During the course of this investigation, this bureau received numerous contacts from anonymous and confidential informants. So more people came up, okay? The informants provided scenarios regarding the events that led to the deaths of Epps and Blakely. I love anon people, just so-and-so said you did it. Well, who is it? So-and-so, a ghost, The reported accounts included Detroit, Puerto Rican, and New York drug traffickers. Okay, well, this is where it kind of was like, Muncie Williams' first interview, he mentioned the Detroit drug traffickers. He mentioned the Puerto Rican traffickers. He didn't mention the New York ones there, but his sister's about to. The information generally indicated that Blakely had either stolen or failed to account for drugs provided by these various groups of drug traffickers. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys this. Those guys were not dealing or giving a Marsha Blakely what they were selling. They were wholesale. We'll just say that. They were wholesalers. They're not dealing with the nickel and dime crackheads. They were dropping off weight to whoever they had entrusted in that area. That's just usually how it works. You have that, and then you have people that do the other stuff, but they weren't those type of dealers. They're trying to paint them as corner boys. That's not what these guys were. Moving weight. So they weren't dealing with the Marsha Blakeleys of the world, is my point. During the there we go. So he mentioned Detroit, Muncie Williams. He mentioned Puerto Rico, and he mentioned He did not mention New York, but they added it here. The predominant information made reference to several known Jamaican Queens, New York dealers who have infiltrated the city with narcotics and violence. The following is a partial list of those suspects in the accounts presented by the informants. This is before Avery Jr. Avery Jr. is not even around at this point. Edwards, John Austin, Brian Daniels, Alfred Cleveland, Lenny Edwards, Ian Davis, Tommy Brown. So John Edwards is known as Shaquem. Brian Daniels, I don't know who that is known as B.I. I don't know what that is. Al is known as Al Monday. Leonard Edwards is known as Will. Ian Davis is known as JR or E. Tommy Brown, which I don't know who that is. Oh, Brown, that might be Patricia Brown's brother. Is Tommy Crenshaw, Tommy Williams, Patch Harold. New York drug dealers continued. Justice, Quinn, Supreme, Cat, Tomo. These bureau officers attempted to locate witnesses who could account for the activities of the identified New York suspects, and the following transpired. On Monday, August 12th, this writer was contacted by the security personnel of Lorraine National Bank. This writer was advised that the bank employee may have pertinent information regarding John Edwards, a.k.a. Shaquem, as identified on page 16 of this bureau report. This officer contacted Gina Dalton. Gina Dalton's an idiot. Anyways, but what's important here is the date, August 12th, 1991. So that's 4 days after she's murdered. Shaquem's name is brought up. That is a month, almost to the day, minus 2 days. That is a month to the day that Avery Jr.'s father comes in and talks to detectives and tells detectives. So Shaquem was in this before Avery's witness testimony that he recanted. Okay? So is Al Cleveland. So is Lenny Edwards. So is Ian Davis. And so are these other people. And clearly they said why they're mad. Why, Katie? Why? Right? Well, he said it right here. What did he say? The predominant information was several known Jamaican Queens, New York dealers who have infiltrated this city with narcotics and violence. All right, 25. Dalton was some chick that was at the bar, and she said, I saw him at the bar all night with his girlfriend. She was with Andrea Pastor and Patricia Brown, both accounted for where he was at. John Edwards was fighting with his girlfriend at a bar and then took off on a flight the next morning. And he was at the bar till 2 a.m. So... all right, I'll go 25. Shh. Sorry, I just want to make sure. This girl is, I don't want to... Delphina Juice, they bring up her whole car because of Leavenworth Edwards was staying with her. She gave them Leavenworth Edwards' jacket that had some blood on it, and he had a bloody nose. The lab testing, the testing even came back and said that was his blood, and that should have exonerated him from, even in this report, it says it should have exonerated him from being, what is it? Suspect. Why am I doing that? Anyways, so, all right, so he follows up with Muncie. I do want to say this. She was messing around with these guys with whatever they were doing on the drug side of everything. And it says here that she was trying to minimize her ties to that. So I think she was just trying to be like, I'm not here, not doing anything, so I'm going to just cooperate with them because they probably know what the fuck I've been doing. You know what I mean? I guarantee one of them said, like, we know you've been doing. All right, the investigation continued in the following manner. We're almost done here. On August 15th, 1991, this writer interviewed the sister of William Muncie, Gwendolyn Muncie, regarding this investigation or knowledge of facts pertaining to the same. Gwen, as further identified on page 4 of this report, indicated the following. Gwen indicated that Marsha Blakely was a crack addict, and she dealt with a number of people on the Strip, Reeves Avenue, 1900 through 2100 block. Further, she reported the uncorroborated account of John Edward Shaquem having participated in the murders as a result of Blakely stealing drugs from the same. John Edwards laughed at the detectives when they accused him of this murder because he's like, I don't deal with crackheads. I deal, like, I've never met the girl. I wouldn't even deal with her because that's not what I do. You know what I mean? But, again, before William Avery was even brought into this, they were looking at these New York guys. And if this was true, why wasn't Gwendolyn Muncie on the stand in this trial? Why wasn't she deposed? Why wasn't William Muncie deposed? And this is a month before Avery Jr. even gets involved. Gwen Muncie also indicated that the street talk centered around the New York drug dealers. Oh, really? She stated that Al Munday was involved with the murders of Epps and Blakely. So she was the first one on August 15th to say Al Munday was the one that was involved too. This is a month before Avery Jr. even comes around. The witnesses related the following. A neighbor, to date not identified or interviewed, so some random neighbor, okay, was to have advised Gwen that he observed a lone male exit a maroon, dark red vehicle and walk in the direction of Blakely as she walked west on West 23rd from Pole Avenue. This information coincides with that information provided by William Muncie and was to have occurred at about 2 a.m. on Thursday, August 8th. Oh, your sister came out and covered for you. And William Muncie messed up again, right? Because this is for the 15th. This is 8 days after his original. His original testimony is he saw her get into a white car. And he said specifically white. Now he sees himself getting into a maroon car. And what color car did Mary Jane describe? A maroon, 2-door, hoopty. This information coincides with information William Muncie and was to have occurred at or about 2 a.m. on the day that she was found. Marsha Blakely was found. This officer has made several attempts to locate the witness, the neighbor that nobody's ever seen or heard from, and will continue to do so in order to obtain any usable information regarding this investigation, which means I'm not going to do shit. Gwen recounted her events of the evening, inclusive of the following information containing in the Willie Muncie and Herbert Wallace interviews as described within this report. Gwen elaborated regarding Blakely's lifestyle, reference drugs and thefts to support her dependency. Gwen made reference to a vehicle that this officer had previously checked based upon information provided by another source. So Gwen apparently knows Lenworth Edwards' girlfriend or whatever the hell she was at Delphi. Goose, the Juice, whatever the hell her name was. The Juice that let her search the car, because that's who let her search the car. By the way, her car came up with there's no physical evidence in this case tying to any of these men to anything. So Gwen also provided the scenario that included that Blakely was murdered by 2 Cubans who were directed to do so by Shaquem. This officer was advised that she came and identified Blakely as a police informant. So now she went from owing money, right? First she owed money. Now she's a CI. So which one is it? And this is the same year. She was the same day. She was. I mean, to a week after she was murdered. This is what his sister's saying. This scenario has been presented to this bureau by several other independent sources, but not by verified of the state. Well, I would love to know who all these independent sources are that gave you that before Avery Jr. came in and gave you that. Gwen was advised to recontact his officer in the event that she obtained further pertinent information regarding this investigation. This officer then went and re-interviewed William Muncie on the state. But, no additional pertinent information was obtained during the third interview of him. So the Brian Daniels that they listed above, they just looked at their page or whatever. Here we go. I'm going to 38 now. Oh, Delphina Juice is that one I was talking about, the one with Edwards. And that's apparently who Gwen Muncie has been talking to regarding her car. I think that's their other independent, people. There was no physical evidence found in her car. There's nothing. There's nothing at all. And the blood the coat that she gave the detectives that had the blood of Lenworth Edwards' blood on his coat that they took, that she gave the police, this juice or whatever. Apparently she was with him for a month. This is based on the bloodstained jean jacket, but we're going to 35, so all this shit is for the birds. I just want to make sure I'm not missing something. Still Edwards. All right, here's 35. Where are we on 35? Oh, I'm an 38. Sorry. You don't need to know all the gruesome stuff. I don't like when they focus on that. Okay, so this is the purse one. Excuse me. The following additional information should be noted regarding the retention of evidence in this investigation, as noted within the interview of William Muncie on Thursday, August 8th, 1991, while Blakely attempted to walk west. That's when he retained her purse. Muncie advised that this writer that the purse was empty with the exception of cigarettes. During the investigation, this writer, along with Resendez, gained access to the Epps apartment the day after he was murdered. So they had 24 hours to do whatever they wanted in that apartment. These officers gained entry by a key to permanent housing. What did I want? On Thursday, August 8th, 1901, the day prior to the retention of evidence, this writer entered the Epps residence on Sunset Boulevard. The apartment's front south door was ajar. The apartment was unoccupied in an orderly fashion. So, William Avery, all these men are supposed to come in, supposed to beat you, beat her. There's no blood, and it's clean. This officer had not interviewed Willie Muncie and said time and was unaware of the noted PERS. This officer is primarily interested in signs of physical confrontation or other physical evidence that lent itself to the course of investigations existed as date and time, which meant we were looking for, signs of a fight. We weren't looking for her purse. Well, every woman always has her purse with her when she's out of the house, or bag or something. So that doesn't fare well. I think that was it with this. Just double check real quick. So my point, Katie, what's your point? I don't think Avery Jr. I think he was put up to this by his father, but I also think by others. I'm going to exit out of here real quick and come back to you guys, talk at you for a minute. So I believe William Muncie, this is my belief, this is my theory, this is not 100%, reliable fact. This is just what I have gathered based on everything I've read, stuff I put together, stuff that has just bothered me. Muncie was interviewed 3 times. His sister was interviewed once. Mary Jane was interviewed twice. After Mary Jane was interviewed, Muncie, she sees the car again that she saw the night before. Mary Jane's the one that told them to ask Muncie, the boyfriend. The boyfriend's upset about her crack addiction. And then who defends him? His sister and stepdad? And then when we get to trial, Lenworth Edwards trial, who's this week, the trial Thursday, 2:30, courtroom 708, Lorraine County Common Pleas, Giovanna Bremke. He was the first trial, Avery Jr. recants his statement. But what did the prosecutor know? That's my question. What did they know? What did he know? What did he not know? Let's see what Avery Jr. So my point is, before I go back to Avery Jr. and show you guys this, my point is, this crime of passion, this crime, last people to see her alive are the Muncies apparently. Then they go and party at the deceased Epps' house. He runs into Marsha Blakely within 30 minutes of Epps' body being discovered on Wallace in the road. You can get her killed in around the same time frame. And then, you went looking for your girlfriends, but you didn't, because she would have ran into Leonard Walker. Leonard Walker would have seen her walking. Then you said you saw her get in a white car, but then you said a day later, when in your story trades, it was the same color car that Mary Jane Gonzalez said it was, after Detective Italiano told you what Mary Jane, or maybe not Detective Italiano, maybe it was whoever did this report, told you about it, told Muncie about Mary Jane seeing him. And then the next day, the same car that she saw the night before with Marsha is now stalking her apartment, probably scaring the bejesus out of her, which also told her the detective that she talked to is talking to or she's not dumb. She's dumb and doesn't realize it. But the first thing I would think is the detective just told them what I said to him, and he must have been the one to off of her. But where's the prosecutor on all of this? Like, this is from 2006. Alfred Cleveland's father tracked down William Avery Jr., who had spent some time in and out of mental hospitals. He was doing some fraud investigations with his dad at the same time. And what I found interesting about this is a lot. He says, I'm going to start at the end. Okay. Why'd you do this? Why did you decide to finally come forward, Avery? Okay. And what does he say? It's on this side of the paper right now. Shh. It's the next one. All right. It says, you have come forward. Now, this is Avery Jr. This is 2006, by the way. The four have been in prison for 2006, over a decade. Decade or more. Okay. You have come forward now. For what reason? Because I'm done, changed my life. I'm no longer into selling drugs, dealing with drugs, no kind of way. And it's been bothering me. I've been in and out of the psych hospitals, and I want to get it off my mind. I'm trying to get my life straight with God now, and that's the only thing in my way. And you have a regular job where you're working full time? Yes. Are you not using any drugs? No. As we say here today, you're completely sober. Yes. Are you medicated anyway? No. So you're not under any meds right now? No. Have you used drugs or alcohol? No. You're completely sober, stable mind, right? And you answer, you do understand absolutely what's going on here. Yes. And so basically this guy's just asking him there's no way that you can, get out of this, right? So 2006, he wants to get right with God. He had already told the FBI. The FBI did nothing about it. What did he tell the FBI? That he lied about this, for one, and for two, that he told the prosecutor about this. But first, and that he was paid, and he only did it for the money. What do you mean money, Katie? How much money did he get? Well, ask gas or grass, nothing in this world is free. He got about $5,000. Did you first hear about it? He admits, Cleveland, he didn't do it, but he knew who they were. He knew exactly who they were. His dad was selling drugs as well. So after he gave the statement for the money, okay, we're going to start here. Now, at some point, you were supposed to get some money from the police for telling this story, right? Yes. And did you get some? I got $2,000 from Crime Stoppers Reward. I got $2,000 relocation fee. Okay. And I got $1,000 for the deposition they gave me. The state? Yeah. Did you get any other money? Not that I recall. Now, what was the first trial you testified in? Do you remember? Was it Edwards' trial on Edwards? Yes. Was there an incident there where you wanted more money and they didn't want to give you more money and you had a discussion with them about it? Yes. My dad told me to ask Rosenbaum for $10,000. Now, who is Rosenbaum? The prosecutor. He was the main person you were dealing with in all these cases? Right. All right. What did Rosenbaum say when you asked him for the $10,000? $10,000? This ain't no bank. So he refused to give you the $10,000. Right. What did you say? Then I said it was all made up. I lied for the money. You told the prosecutor that in court. In court? Yes. What happened then? Then I think they took a break. Then we went in the room back there where they was holding me at, and he told me if they don't go down for it, you're going down for it. Okay, let's go back a little bit. You in court announced that you didn't actually see this murder, right? Right. That is all a lie, right? And then a break is taken, right? And you and the prosecutor, right? Who else is present when you go back in this room? Police officers? It was just me and him. Just you and the prosecutor, yes. No court reporter like we have right now? No. All right. And you go back in the room and you tell them, I didn't see it, right? And you were serious. Yes, it was all a lie. Did he understand you were serious? Yes, he should have. He told me, hey, they don't go down for it. You're going down for it. I'm going to make sure of that. Did you believe him? Yes, I believed him. So when I got back to the courtroom, then when I said I lied and I did it for the money, he had my dad thrown out of the courtroom. Your father was in the courtroom at the time? Yes. He had him removed from the courtroom. Yes. Now, you gave depositions recorded on 9/11, 9/20, 9/26. These were depositions. Do you remember who prepped you and who got ready for these depositions when you gave them? Was it Rosenbaum again? Yes, Rosenbaum and Resendez was there, the police officer. Yes. Did they prepare you for these depositions? Yes. Okay, and you basically went over your old story about witnessing the murders that you didn't actually witness, right? Right. You told them once again the same story essentially, right? Yes. Okay, now you're talking about Blakely being beat up and Monday and them offering you money to beat them up. Was that true? No. It wasn't true, but that's what you testified to, right? Right. You testified that Blakely was put in Delphia Juice's car, right? Right. Now, after you did all this testifying, what happened to you? Then they said they was putting me in the witness protection program. They was moving me from motel to motel with my dad right along with me. What was going on at these hotels? My dad was going out, getting crack, coming back, smoking crack with me, and they was giving me money to eat, and he was taking that, running in and out. I guess he was meeting them outside and stuff. Meeting who? Now, you came to Detroit shortly after you were done testifying, right? No, I stayed there for a little while first, but then you eventually came back to Detroit, right? At some time, did you recently contact the FBI? Yes. What did you contact them about? My dad came and got me and took me to some doctor and was talking, that was taking people, giving you cash money for your medical card and draining your medical. No. Did you ever, oh, sorry, I'm bringing the wrong side. Card, and I seen that they was my chance to get everything out in the open there concerning your false testimony in Ohio, right? Right. So you contacted the FBI here in Detroit. Yes. Do you remember who you talked to? No, I can't remember his name, but it was an FBI agent you spoke with. Yes. And it was the year 2000. It was this year in 2006 or last year in 2005. Last year. Do you remember when? Winter, summertime? It was summer 2005. Yes. So you contacted them and they come out and see you. Yes, they came to my house. You had a conversation with them about the Ohio case? No, he was talking about what my dad was trying to get me into then. And after it got going later on in the situation, I told them about Ohio. What did they say about the Ohio? Anything? They said it was hard for them to believe that these dudes was locked up on my word and stuff. And I didn't know nothing about it, and I told them they locked up. And they said that they was going to investigate it. They was going to call their field office down there and have somebody, investigate it and stuff. Did you ever hear back from any of the FBI agents from Ohio or anywhere else about this? No. So no one else has ever called you? No. Okay. And that's the last... They said no, I talked to the FBI agent here in Detroit. Yes, he told me that he gave my dad a hell of a recommendation, the narcs and stuff in Lorraine that he worked for as an informant, and that, I took it as they wasn't going to believe me. They didn't believe me because I never heard nothing else about it until Mr. Cleveland contacted me. He had found me. Al Cleveland's father, right? Right. He found you this year sometime. Yes. That's when we met shortly thereafter, right? Right. Oh, okay, so here we go. Did you and Tellerico ever have a conversation where you told him, I think you meant Taliano, where you told him, you didn't see it or you didn't have knowledge of any of it? Who is that? The detective in Lorraine, back when all this was happening. Did you ever tell him, listen, this is all nonsense, I never saw anything? Yes, I told him it was a lie. What was his response? He told Rosenbaum. He didn't say anything. Okay, he told Rosenbaum, and then you and Rosenbaum eventually had a talk where he threatened to lock you up for these murders? Yes. All right. William, going back to your Ohio days, was there a time when you got in trouble in high school? Yes, tell me what happened. My dad was what I felt like he was picking with me and stuff. He was going through changes. He lost his judgment when he started selling drugs. So eventually you're in juvenile. So he got in a fight and he was almost in juvenile prison, but he was all upset because every time he came home, like, the house is dirty. He's a crackhead. He was living with a crackhead and it was abusive. We'll just say that. All right, so he basically escaped before he was sentenced as a juvenile and he went to Michigan. I had to use the bathroom and told me to get up, escape. The door was steps back, going home, I'll be there. I'm going to take you to Detroit. Did that happen? Yes. Now, William, is there... Here, I need you to see this. There we go. And then we get to, the psych hospital and stuff like that. But he said, now, William, is there, just to be very clear, you didn't witness any murder? Nope. Okay. And then the next part is one more part I wanted to show you. Page is this? This is page 8, so it's page 2. Oh, this is important. No one has paid you or offered you anything for reward for coming forward and talking today. No, I just want to make sure you guys know, like, you didn't pay them for this testimony. He did not get anything out of it. He did admit on this recording that Marsha would be at his house doing sexual favors. He said this too. He said, did Cleveland or Edwards and Davis and Shaquem, did they ever have anything to do with Blakely and Epps? Were they, friends or associates? Well, I know they didn't have anything to do with Epps, but Marsha, she smoked crack and stuff, so I never seen them dealing with her, but I would assume that she did because they ran this little area. But you had no direct knowledge of seeing them together at any time, did you? No. Do you remember your father's address where you're... you don't need that. Okay. So the next one is... his dad. Okay. So this is what his dad did. He owed William Muncie, part of his story was true. He told some truths. Just mix him with lies. He did owe Al Monday money. Okay. And his dad ended up coming home and saying, let me get out of here. Hold on. His dad ended up coming home that September after he went to the police and said that Al Monday is going to kill you because you owe him, money, even though apparently he was working to pay it off. He said, and my dad came, told me that they was going to kill me just like they did her. And he know how. He said, I know how to get rid of them so you don't have to worry about it. You just say what I'm going to tell you to say. When you say get rid of, we're talking about Cleveland, Edwards, and Davis, right? Right. Okay, what did your dad tell you to do? Instruct you to do? He told me to memorize the story. He pulled out some crack, told me to smoke that to calm me down and stuff because he had me scared. And he told me the story that I said in court. Now, you testified against all three of these individuals, right? Yes. William, let me get back a little bit. I don't need your social. So, after my dad, at what point did you talk to the police about this? After my dad went down there and talked to them. Okay, so after he went down there and talked to them, he came back and told me they said for him to bring me down there. So he went, met, and this is a month after, like I said, Muncie Williams and all them brought up already the Ohio 4 being drug dealers out here and trying to, I think, deflect off of William Muncie himself, to be honest with you. It just doesn't make sense. So your father went to the police, the local police in Lorraine, and laid the groundwork for you to go and see them, right? Right. Okay, this is where this was a concocted story that had designed for you to tell the police, right? And you tell them the story about Cleveland and then committed the murder, right? And they had the pictures and everything on a desk, asking me about the apartment from the murder scene and everything, right? With the pictures right in front of my face. So then they come in to question, like he comes in to tell them his statement, and they have his Marsha Blakely's murder scene pictures all over the desk of her of the crime. Well, since when do you go in to witness to interview a witness and show the witness your evidence when he's supposedly to have first-hand account? So I'm going to post the rest of these. I'm going to make sure real quick I don't have something that I need to tell you. Hold on. Edward Stroud, yes, Rosenbaum, 10,000. I already showed you that one. I have a note if it does. Let's see that one. Oh, polygraph. Okay. This is, I think, the last one. I'm not gonna. Do you remember being polygraphed by them back then, giving you a lie detector test? You don't recall that? No, I don't remember. Okay. Even when I got ready to leave after it was all over with, like when they were moving me from motel to motel, I got frustrated and tired of my dad. The way that he was trying to, scare me up and stuff. And I told Detective Taliano that I didn't want my dad with me no more. We was riding in the van. We was on our way to some project where they was going to hide me out. Him and my dad got into an argument inside the van, like they was getting ready to fight. So it didn't matter what I said. They left my dad with me anyway. So no matter what you asked of the police, they just wanted your father around to kind of control you. Right. And they knew that he was going to give you drugs at that time. Yes, they knew. While you were waiting to testify. Yes, they had been a few times when they came to our house at the projects, and my dad would have a house full of people there, his crack pipe and his stuff in his head, in his hand, and he'd leave and go ride with them and come back with it in his hand and brag about how he got it made and stuff with them, with the police. Yes, he could do what he wanted to do. He was basically untouchable in the rain. Right. William, how old are you today as we sit here? I'm 37. He's 37. So what will he be? He was 27 and 6, 27. He's 21 when all this shit happened. Alright, just make sure I don't have any other notes that I need to tell you. And then I'm going to summarize a summation. And this little document will be available on my website. Oh, he did admit he was a police informant, but I think I already told you guys that. So, William Muncie, last known people to see her, interviewed him 3 times. His sister and stepfather tried to alibi him. Mary Jane Gonzalez with the seeing Marsha at 11:30 at night, and then her witness of the car, Taliano, telling Muncie Williams about her witnessing the car, then the car reappearing. Muncie Williams changing the car from, it's just, I could go on. We already did this for the last 2 hours, which is crazy that this is lasting this long. But William Muncie needs to be looked at as someone who did this. It was her boyfriend. Her throat was slit. His throat. That's crime of passion, man. These Al Cleveland, John Edwards, Leavenworth Edwards, and Benson they're guilty of coming up here from New York and selling crack cocaine. I'm not going to condone that. However, they pretty much got railroaded up here, and I'm thinking, just because I kind of get the little bit of the street game, is that, they were competition for some of these boys, and local boys, and they came in from New York. A lot of people were pissed. that they came in and were, bringing in product and basically taking over their little territory, and they're not even from here. And if you put these murders on them, bye-bye. And then you're innocent because you got away with it because you're the one that more than likely is, this is my theory, guilty of killing her. Because you had her purse. You were partying at her house. In his house. You didn't go and find her. I mean, like, you really looked that hard. Like, you got I should just make a list. But I wanted to come on here and share that with you guys because it's just looking more and more like William Muncie. And don't forget, this Thursday, Lorain County, Common Pleas, 2:30, Giovanna Brumke, our judge, Giovanna Brumke, Republican judge, is going to be hearing Lenworth Edwards, the first of the fourth case. I don't know exactly, but the motion on Thursday, and I will update you on how that goes. I have an article dropping. I just have to give myself like an hour so I can edit it. I finished it yesterday and I give it 24 hours before I edit it, but I want to show you real quick before I let all of you people go. And I'm sorry it's so long tonight, but I just really wanted to go over that. Is I made a page, Mean Street News. Oh, not this evil bitch. You should read this. This chick is evil. Google her name. But anyways, her sister's batshit crazy. I made a page. You go to Lorain County Files. You go down to Ohio 4. My article goes over each of these people, okay? So you'll see my intro or whatever. I did this, I went through the transcripts myself, and you can just zoom in. You can read them. They're clear as day, okay? And you go over. But what I did with the article, I'll actually show you an example. I'll show you an example of just what I did. This is, I don't think I can pull up the one I finished, but okay. So you'll see 10, and then I'll have a link. You'll be able to, I'll have a link, whatever, and you'll be able to, it'll link you to here. It'll link you to Charlton, and you'll be able to go through all the testimony they've uploaded for him. And then I'll do the same thing for all of these people. And you'll be able to, I think I only have Cleveland's and Lenworth's, Ian's left or whatever. And then William Muncie, Gwen Muncie's testimony, you'll be able to read those. I mean, and that's how the article's kind of set up. And I break it down, how I kind of broke it down for you tonight. If you don't want to watch the full episodes, I go through the episode and I snippet, and you can visit our TikTok, at Mean Street News, and I have, it's on Instagram as well, Mean Street News. Follow me, subscribe, whatever, because I got rid of my Ohio Mean Street Ohio, and now I'm just Mean Street News. But I get some good hits on here. I have all the clips from my episodes, so if you don't want to like sit there and whatever. And then the podcast is updated, but and then it has all of the episodes. If you want to you just caught this episode, you want to start from the first one, go down, and watch actual videos. Here it is. You can actually watch. This one will be up later, and then it says subscribe. But right above here, I'm gonna have a link tree to Voices for Injustice, the Ohio 4 website, which is, you can link right here, is the original podcast from Joe Rogan. freetheohio4.com has the statement from the prosecutor. It also has all the documents, and then the submission that Josh Jeevan was talking about in the Joe Rogan episode. Voices for Injustice is Al Cleveland's organization. I do this. Shh. And give them a follow. Where are you? It was just on there. So of course it's not going to pop up. Oh, because of this. Follow them on Facebook too. Why isn't your site popping? It's usually like the third one. Anyways, I'm going to show you their Facebook and then you can do it through there. Right here. Voices for Injustice. Go on there and check out their stuff. But like I said, Ohio 4, here's I went through the depositions, so you really don't have to, but there's some good stuff. And if you see something circled or starred, yeah, that's important. Now, I will explain my crazy color cordedness stuff. It's a priority. Yellow is the most important. Purple is mid. Blue doesn't really matter, but kind of background for me. If you see the red, that's a person. The green is a time, date, place. It makes sense to me. I don't really care if you like it or not, but I wanted to show you it. So you guys have my whole point of this is we're sitting here talking about this whole episode. We're sitting here talking about it is about, William Avery, but I think we need to get off of that as much as we need to cover it and say that he lied. We need to now be pointing fingers at, my theory is Muncie Williams and the men that were with him that night and whatever can be said about that, because I believe it was baby dad. I believe it was the boyfriend. Just logically and their own statements make sense. And I think certain people knew, and I think because they were connected in Lorraine, they were locals, and they weren't happy about it. Some people think bad guy. It doesn't matter what the bad guy is, he's a bad guy. So regardless if he killed somebody or he sold drugs, whatever, we're just going to go after him regardless. And that's not the way our system is supposed to operate. And the victims themselves, Floyd Epps' murder has been opened for 30 years. If Marsha Blakely was alive today, I don't think she would, if she could come back today, I don't think she would be happy with the results of someone who's innocent. And innocent, I mean, the majority of these guys weren't even in the freaking state at the time. Saying that she murdered her. We need justice here. But Thursday, I'm really excited. I'll let you know what happens. I will have that article up probably before 10 o'clock because I'm probably in bed by 10 tonight. I'm exhausted. But I just got to edit it, and my brain's like right now. But you guys have a good evening. Thank you for joining me. And, let me know your thoughts. Subscribe, like, share, and contact the judge. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you. My stupid ADD moment. Hold on. And I didn't share my screen, so you're not going to be able to see this. Hold on. Edit this. My stupid ADD brain. I wanted to show you. I put the judge's phone numbers. This will be in my article as well. But that evil bitch. Okay. Right here, Ian Davis, Judge Chris Cook. I'm going to put their court cases too, because I have their case numbers. So you guys can by yourselves, if you want to, follow this case. I have all of their court numbers. I'm going to put them down here with a link to the docket so you can just kind of click it and see. But Ian Davis is Judge Chris Cook. John Edwards, I'm not sure because it was Maraldi and he retired. I know Freeman was his, kind of not predecessor, but taking, I don't know how that works. Anyways, but Giovanna, but the same one was for Lenworth, but he was just reassigned to Giovanni. So when I know who he is, I will update it. But if you click here, it will take you, that's the phone number. You can just call them directly. If you click here, it will take you to the judge's site. And you can, some of them you can email, some of them you can't. If you can't, I call and just get an email. But I implore you to reach out to these judges in these cases and tell them that you expect them to free the Ohio 4. Don't allow the stain on our community especially from somebody on the outside, continue and seek justice for Marsha Blakely and Floyd Epps, especially Floyd Epps. It's a murder case that's been open for 30 years. I don't care if he was the town drunk. He helped a lot of people out, though, being the town drunk. He let them stay at his house when they needed somewhere to stay. Everybody I've talked to in Lorraine that still remembers him said he was not a bad guy. He just was known as the town drunk. He was just an alcoholic. So, again, now I really mean it. Have a good night. I will talk to you guys, and stay focused. And pray. Because sometimes you need a little divine intervention in these situations. Have a good night.